Alicia Fox. We've been saying it since 2011. Alicia Fox is a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's a shame that she was drafted to Raw instead of SmackDown, because on Raw, she's just going to be the warm-up match for Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley. So the only hope for Alicia Fox is for her to wait until next year to hopefully get drafted to SmackDown, and maybe then she can continue her path to winning the Royal Rumble and main eventing WrestleMania in the rematch of a century against Melina.
I think Alicia Fox is okay. She's pretty meh on the mic, meh in the ring. Her shining moments were probably that great psycho gimmick she had in 2014 when she would just like rip everything apart. She has a role to play in the division, but I can't ever envision her being the face of the WWE because she's ugly, Michael.
Enzo, Amore, and Big Cass. I know that WWE wants to push Big Cass as a singles guy, but I don't think they should ever break this tag team up. Because if they do break them up and try to push Big Cass on his own, I can almost guarantee you that the Smarks are going to end up churning on him, and he's going to become the next Roman Reigns. Now, I do have mixed feelings about Enzo, though, because this guy is charismatic, and his delivery is second to none, but the words that he says are really stupid. Like, if Roman Reigns cut any of the same promos that Enzo Amore cuts, everyone would bury the hell out of him for being this PG goofball or whatever.
And if they actually do split him up from Enzo, I really can't envision him not being the next Roman Reigns in terms of how the crowd reacts to him, because this guy honestly does not offer very much without Enzo, and that's not to say that he can't improve. I don't think that Big Cass right now, the way that from what he's shown on the main roster, has it for the main event. Enzo, it's like you said, he does say a lot of stupid things, but he's living proof that 80% of a joke is delivery. This guy is a punchline machine, and that's something that the WWE I think is desperately needed. Enzo's delivery right now is second to none. For me, he's top 5 right now on the mic, because literally once this guy grabs a microphone, the whole audience is listening to what he has to say. So I think Enzo, like you said, him and Big Cass should never split up. Even if you're planning to push Big Cass as a singles competitor, Big Cass needs Enzo in order to thrive. But it's not just that. Enzo also needs Big Cass, because it's like you said, without Big Cass, Enzo is most likely going to get buried. So what they need to do is just keep Enzo and Cass together. Even if you're planning a singles push for Cass, even if you're planning a singles push for Enzo, keep them together, because they're much better as a cohesive unit than split up.
New Day. Just like Enzo and Cass, I don't think the New Day should ever break up, because as entertaining as they are together, none of them really bring anything to the table as singles wrestlers. Now, you could make the case for Big E possibly having potential as a singles guy, but I think at this point, with everything that he's done, it's going to be pretty hard to take him seriously as a legit main event superstar, in which case, I think he's fine just doing what he's doing now. Because the New Day has easily been the best act in the WWE, and they're always evolving to keep themselves fresh.
Everyone's always known that I've been a big advocate for Big E. Big E's actually my current favorite right now because of how good he is, and I think I disagree with you in the aspect of I can't see him as a main eventer. I could see him as a main eventer because of the comedy stuff that he added, because now he's more than just this one-dimensional guy. Now, the other two guys after the New Day splits up, this is, I'm assuming that we're talking about, Kofi Kingston. I mean, I really can't picture him not doing anything besides the stuff he was doing before he was on the New Day. And the same goes for Xavier Woods. Like, the only person I see really succeeding after the New Day splits up is Big E, because of the fact that I'm pretty sure that the WWE is going to have Big E as the only guy that keeps his New Day persona.
Bo Dallas. I really wish that they would do more with this guy, because he is easily one of the best characters that the company has right now. And especially right now, with the mid-card being as weak as it is, they need a good heel like Bo Dallas to keep things interesting. I mean, let's not forget, this guy was one of the best things about Raw every single week back in 2014. So I definitely think they need to try to recapture that magic once again.
Bo Dallas offers a lot as a good comedy character, like you said, even in the mid-card, because I think that what Bo Dallas possesses is the inept ability to actually be a believable winner. Yeah, like you said, I would much rather see Bo Dallas, especially with the brand split, and it's a 3-hour show, and you still don't have any room for a guy like Bo Dallas on your show. That needs to change really quick.
Brock Lesnar. This is what sucks about the roster, because as I was looking through it to see which one of these guys would actually make a great opponent for Brock Lesnar, who deserves to be in the ring with Brock Lesnar. And as I looked through the roster, I couldn't think of anyone who deserves that spot. That's how weak this current roster is.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar is one of the last true stars we have left. It's sad because looking at this roster, there really is nothing for him to do. The best I can honestly come up with is maybe like a rematch with Roman Reigns so we can have a decisive winner. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell, but there's nothing really for Brock Lesnar to do right now. He's pretty much feuded with everybody that's good, and now he's kind of just there.
The Dudley Boyz. We just finished talking about guys that we'd like to see face Brock Lesnar, and now that I think about it, a Bully Ray versus Brock Lesnar feud would actually be epic. And that's why I want the Dudleys to break up, because Bully Ray has way too much potential as a single star than he does in this tag team right now. Especially with the way that the Dudleys have been wasted on Superstars matches and jobbing to throw together tag teams. It's obvious WWE doesn't know what to do with the Dudleys anymore, so they might as well split them up.
And you're absolutely right. The Dudley Boyz are just totally misused. So it seemed like they just brought them back to be jobbers, which the only issue now is that you don't know what to do with them. A run for Bully Ray as a singles competitor would be interesting to see in the WWE, especially with the whole don't be a bully thing. Devon Dudley could rehash his old Reverend Devon gimmick, and he could join the New Day and maybe kick out someone like, Xavier Woods or Kofi Kingston, maybe team up with Big E. I think that would breathe new life into the New Day as well.
Cesaro. I think Cesaro is good enough to be one of the top guys on SmackDown. He's not necessarily someone that you would build the company around, but he does have a lot of tools to be an upper-level key top player in the company. At the very least, he's a guy that you can throw into main event slots every once in a while when you want to make your top guys look good.
Of all the indie guys this is one of the few that I can actually see be someone that I can see go toe-to-toe with someone like Roman Reigns, with someone like Brock Lesnar, with someone like John Cena. This guy's actually incredibly strong. Not strong on the mic or strong anywhere else, but he's strong in-ring. He's up there with the best of the worst in terms of indie guys, so I think he could be at least okay in this brand split. Just keep this guy off a fucking microphone.
Charlotte. I've been saying since she was on NXT that she works a lot better when she stops trying to be like Ric Flair and starts working more like an individual. Because when she wrestles her own style and does her own thing, she's decent enough for what she does. And as a heel, she works perfectly because she's just not likable. So even smarks aren't going to cheer her, but they still respect her for being good in the ring. So it's a balanced type of heat. But the thing Charlotte lacks the most is that she doesn't really connect with the fans in any type of way. Like, if they had never turned her heel in the first place, I guarantee you she'd be getting a Roman Reigns reaction from the fans right now. Her merchandise isn't selling, her social media following is mediocre for the push she's received, and there's not a real demand for her in the mainstream. She may be delivering in the ring, but she's not delivering where it counts and where you need to deliver to be a top superstar in the company. And that's sort of where the resentment comes from, and that kind of feeds into the idea that her push is based solely off of nepotism. Because if that was any other superstar in her situation that drew that badly, even after the push she's received, they'd have their push canceled right away. In fact, that's part of why Natalya has never become a big superstar. Because at least with all the other ones, Sasha, Bayley, Becky, they have connected with the fans, and they are huge draws for the company. Charlotte still isn't there yet, even after all they've invested into making her a star.
One thing that I will give Charlotte credit for is that she's vastly improved since she debuted. My God, was she fucking terrible when she debuted. Now I can at least tolerate her. But it's like you said, I think the only reason that people think she's so great is pretty much by association. Charlotte is loved by the internet because she's associated with Sasha, Bayley, and Becky as the four horsewomen. I mean, just on her own, she's just really average. Like, there's really nothing that stands out about her, that sticks out about her, except that boner in her underwear. But without Ric Flair, without the championship, without getting shoved down your throat, like you said, without getting a huge push, Charlotte's just gonna kind of be there. She's gonna be like any other mediocre superstar in the WWE.
Jericho. You know, the run that he's on right now might be the most entertaining that he's ever been. I think this might even be better than his 2008 run. So I'd actually like to see him get another run as a Raw champion. I mean, he's one of the few guys that actually deserves to be a Raw champion on this current roster anyway.
Yeah, you know, I've said this multiple times that it's almost impossible to make a heel anymore because the fans are going to end up cheering him no matter what, just because they want to go against the grain. For someone that is so loved by the fans, he's so good at getting the fans to boo him. Like, you really can't say enough about Chris Jericho's great heel run right now. As played out and as old as he is, he's still doing what he's doing better than he's ever done it before. And there's not much you can say to really appreciate Chris Jericho. You just gotta take in the gift of Jericho. Take it in, man.
Dana Brooke. I've always seen the potential in Dana Brooke since her debut. She's just one of those talents that you can tell has it. Sure, she's still green and she has a lot of developing to do in the ring, but it's one of those things that I've always said is that you can teach wrestling, but you can't teach charisma. And Dana Brooke is loaded with charisma. People think WWE wants to push her just because of how she looks, but it's more than that. It's because Dana Brooke has that it factor that very few divas ever have. It's why no matter how much they push Charlotte, fans just don't care about her because she doesn't have that factor. Dana Brooke does, and that's why she's going to make a great star for the division.
You're probably more familiar with her work than I am. I haven't seen a whole lot of her. The only thing I've seen of her is her main roster stuff. But from what I've seen, she's actually seems like she has potential there. Dana Brooke is one of the last few women, isn't your typical women's wrestler. You know, she's actually someone that they signed from a modeling agency. The reason that I like that when the WWE does that, I think MTO said this years ago, is because most of the models end up having a shit ton more charisma, and they learn how to wrestle later on. And there's something you really can't teach, and that's charisma. You can teach wrestling, you can't teach charisma. From what I see so far, she has all the raw fundamentals. It just, I guess, just gonna take the right push.
Darren Young. All I can say about Darren Young is that his Make America Great Again gimmick should have gone to somebody better. Maybe Jack Swagger or Zack Ryder.
There's really not much to say about this guy. I mean, he doesn't suck, but he's also not good. Yeah, I have to agree with you on that the Make America Great Again thing would have been way better off with Jack Swagger. It's like I don't understand why they keep trying to push. I mean, I understand why they keep trying to push him, but it gets to a certain point where you realize that there's a certain ceiling for this guy. They should have never broken up the primetime players. Like, they've done it twice, and both times it's bombed. It just seems like they always want to push Darren Young when they break up the primetime players, and they just don't realize that Titus O'Neil is the real money as a singles competitor of that team. If there's any successful way to book Darren Young in the future, it's reform the primetime players again. I mean, at what point do you pull the plug on these guys? I mean, fuck, you broke up Crime Time once in like 3 years, and then you released both of them, but you keep Primo and Epico for like 10 repackages, and it's still not working. And you mentioned that Carlito's not going to come back. you're right. He is the only thing that could possibly salvage Primo and Epico at all. But if you were in Carlito's shoes, why the fuck would you want to come back for Primo and Epico? I don't know. It's frustrating. What I want them to do with Primo and Epico is just be a jobber tag team. Not even an occasional flash in the pan moment, because they've had their flash in the pan moments already, and they didn't pan out.
Finn Balor. Just like Charlotte, I think Finn Balor is an example that WWE can make anybody into a main eventer if they really want to. I mean, think about it. Besides cosplaying as the Demon, what makes this guy interesting enough to be a main event superstar? He's as basic and generic as they come, yet WWE presents him as a huge star, and because smarks are sexually attracted to him, he gets to be a main eventer anyway. So this guy is proof that if WWE wasn't so lazy, they could make any jobber on the roster into a star.
And you know what? It's this funny thing where nowadays you get crucified for stating your opinion, and once you back it up with a little bit of evidence as to why you think what you think, people just automatically run to you're not a real wrestling fan. I think with Finn Balor, people have gone to that argument the most than any other superstar. Because I don't like a lot of indie guys. There are some that I do like. Finn Balor has to be at the bottom of the list. Just because not only is this guy horrible on the mic, which is automatically like a downer for me. That's a deal breaker. His character is that he has two characters. And one of the characters is that he doesn't have a character. And the other character that he supposedly has is that he just paints himself for big matches. And that's his character. That's stupid. And again, before I get touted as a hater, explain to me why someone whose literal character is half that he doesn't have a character and half that he just paints himself, tell me why that's a good character. Tell me why that invests me into his matches. It doesn't. But what makes it absolutely worse is that at least when people on the internet tell me about guys like Cesaro and guys like Sami Zayn, guys that I don't like Neville, at least when they compete in the ring, they're actually good in the ring. They actually entertain me in the ring. Finn Balor, the moves that he utilizes in the WWE are not good. They're not entertaining. They're just variations of kicks that do not look realistic. His finisher is a double stomp that does not look like it hurts. I don't know. There's a lot of bad things that I can say about Finn Balor, but Finn Balor is easily like the least favorite of mine as it comes to the NXT alumni. And as for his booking in the future, I mean, since the internet likes him so much, I guess there's room for him in the mid-card. But I personally, I can't even see him being a mid-carder, honestly. I could see him being maybe like the face of the cruiserweights for Raw, but that's about it.
Jack Swagger. You know, I've kind of grown to appreciate Jack Swagger over the last couple of years, just because when you compare him to a lot of the guys from NXT, you start to think, you know what? Maybe this guy wasn't so bad after all. I mean, if I had the choice between Jack Swagger or Finn Balor, who should be the next world champion, it's not even a debate. Jack Swagger all the way. That's why I think he should have been the one that got that Make America Great Again gimmick.
Yeah, Jack Swagger is actually one of those cases where I used to like him a lot, and then it just seemed like after he won the world title, he was just kind of like this charisma vacuum. Like you could literally see it after he won the belt, that just like the charisma just like fucking seeped out of his body. And he really hasn't recovered that charisma since then, which is weird. But like you said, Jack Swagger is one of those guys where back like in, let's say, 2012, when there were like a bunch of good guys on the roster, you looked at Jack Swagger and you were like, oh, he sucks. But now that you look at him in this day and age, you're like, oh, well, maybe Jack Swagger isn't so bad. It's like you said, he's a hell of a lot better than a lot of the other guys on the roster right now. He's a good wrestler. He's believable. And it's like you said, the Make America Great Again thing would have been a lot better for Jack Swagger, because Jack Swagger has already been touted as this kind of guy that wants to get rid of the illegals taking the jobs. Like Zeb Coulter was the original Donald Trump, and it's like tailor made for Jack Swagger. But I don't know, maybe he just did something to piss someone off. maybe he's shitting Randy Orton's bag or something. But it would be awesome to see Jack Swagger recapture a push. See him maybe get at least a mid-card push would be nice. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like Jack Swagger's going to do anything different. I feel like he's going to end up like my Wade Barrett. He's going to end up getting released. And even though he had so much more potential than what he ended up doing with the rest of his career.
The aces and eights. Yeah, these guys are really useless on their own. I probably put them on the same level as the Gemini. They're alright as henchmen to protect a cowardly heel leader, but on their own, no one cares about them, and they're barely good enough to be competing on Velocity.
They can't do anything by themselves because there's nothing for them to do. The fact that they had AJ Styles meant that they had a connection to something. Now that they're by themselves, nobody cares about them. Like, oh, we're from Japan, and everyone's just like, okay, that's nice. So is Funaki. I'm not going to go attack Funaki either. Anyway, like you said, they don't inhibit any sort of character. Their mic skills are so bad. Like, they're so bad. Fucking The Club. Oh my god, they cut one of the worst promos of the year. I think their best insult was, I think they called John Cena a turd in a punch bowl or something like that. On this episode of Raw this one time, they did this thing where they were like doctors and whatever. I think that is what they should stick with. That is what they should go for. Because at least at that point, they were at least somewhat entertaining. I mean, Luke Gallows is still a charisma vacuum even on that promo. But Carl Anderson really seemed to believe that and really invest himself into this whole doctor taking away your testicle storyline. So if they did a little more of that, I think I might actually be able to get behind the club.
Kevin Owens. You know, Kevin Owens may be one of the few guys that has the full package. This is a guy who has charisma, is good on the mic, and believable in the ring. I probably put him on the same level as a guy like Daniel Bryan, in that while he might be massively overrated by the IWC, at least you can see why he's overrated.
Finally, an indie guy that I actually like, I can talk about here. Kevin Owens, yeah, like you said, he's actually pretty good. He actually has charisma. He can actually talk well. He actually makes me care about his storylines. With the Sami Zayn thing, Kevin Owens carried that feud. With the John Cena feud, that feud actually had something to it. I actually cared somewhat about that feud. The only issue I think I have with Kevin Owens is that they've made his character and his gimmick this like really poor man's swap meet version of Brock Lesnar, but you know, he kind of loses a lot for a guy that you're supposed to be scared of. But I don't know. I mean, they haven't buried Kevin Owens yet, so there's still hope for him. I think he can be pretty good. They need to work on his character a little bit, but aside from that, he's pretty good. He can actually be something in the future. One of the few indie guys that's actually inherits and exhibits a character and actually can talk. So let's just hope that they don't overrate him so much, the internet that is, to a point where he's just not going to be good and he's going to be complacent. He's going to read what people write about him, and he's just never going to improve.
Lana and Rusev. Rusev is awesome, no complaints, and I'd like to see Lana get more involved in the ring. Maybe she and Dana Brooke could be this generation's Trish and Lita. That'd be pretty awesome.
I wonder what happened with Lana anyway. Like, they were doing this thing where she was actually wrestling. Like, she made her debut in ring at WrestleMania, and then they just put her back with Rusev and kind of just forgot about it. Like, anyway, yeah, it's like you said. I think they should definitely make her like a wrestler. Just because she's so over with the fans, she adds a different element to the divas that they kind of don't have right now. I don't think there is a diva that legitimately has a character aside from maybe Eva Marie. I think Lana would be the perfect diva to dethrone Sasha Banks, and it's like a thing where it wouldn't really make sense to have Bayley do it, even though Bayley is over as a face, and Bayley would have a great WrestleMania moment in the process that she deserves, but at the same time, it's like, you can't turn Sasha Banks heel just because the fans won't boo her, so you won't get that satisfying moment. However, if you have Lana beat Sasha Banks, Lana could be the heel that Bayley beats in the process to get her WrestleMania moment. That seems like more of a better storyline and makes more sense to me than having Sasha Banks versus Bayley at WrestleMania. I understand you want your great match again, but just, I don't know, Lana screams more star potential than Sasha Banks and Bayley do. Rusev! I remember when this guy debuted like 2 years ago, I fucking couldn't stand the guy. I thought he was like so forced. But ever since that whole feud with Lana and Summer Rae and Dolph Ziggler, as bad as that was, that actually helped me turn the page on Rusev because it showed me another side to him. Like, it showed me that, it's okay for a big guy to be soft, and he's actually pretty funny. Like, it took the worst storylines of his career for Rusev to show sides to him that actually got me invested into his character. And now, like you said, he's probably one of the best guys they have on the roster right now. And you know what? In the future, I'd like to see Rusev win the Universal Championship.
Neville. I think Neville is good for what he is. An attraction in the cruiserweight division that you put in opening matches of pay-per-views to warm the crowd up. He's got his spot as the spot monkey on the card. No complaints.
Yeah, like you said, last year when they brought in Neville from NXT, they actually tried to push him really hard. I think he actually won the WWE title at one point. Like, he legitimately pinned Seth Rollins. That, my friends, is what we call a reach. Neville is like you said, he's a guy who's good for what he does, but there's a certain point where he can't go any further. And I think the best that Neville is like a mid-carder, because they've tried giving him a mic. He's horrible. They've tried giving him an actual gimmick and a character. It's a joke gimmick. He's a superhero, for God's sake. Like, yeah, so he's definitely he's a good change of pace guy to bring the flippy stuff to get the crowd into matches. But aside from that, I don't think there's much more that there is for Neville.
Nia Jax. You can tell WWE wants to push her, but they don't want to push her more than the Horsewoman. So I think it's a waste of time to try to present her as a singles wrestler. So I think what they need to do with her is just use her as a bodyguard. Hell, put her back with Eva Marie. That was a great pairing.
In order to have a top babyface like Bayley, like Sasha, you kind of need that top heel to go with it. And it's like I said about Lana, since they're not going to push Lana, why not push Nia Jax to be that person? Nia Jax is going to be one of the few divas that actually gets heat, because the fans are going to hate her because she's not a 4-horsewoman. I think what you always need someone like this for the babyface to overcome, but it's like you said, they're not going to push her over the people that they want to push already. So Nia Jax is only going to get so far. I can honestly see her being like in a comedy gimmick, like maybe a year down the line. Like, maybe, like, since Brodus Clay is gone, maybe, like, another dancing gimmick with somebody else. Like, I don't know. Maybe she'll, it would be good to see Eva Marie and Nia Jax reunite on the main roster, because that would play even more into Eva Marie's I don't wrestle gimmick, where they could have tag matches where Eva Marie never tags in, and then she'll celebrate like she won the whole damn thing.
Paige. I might actually be a Paige fan if she wasn't so overrated, because overall, there is a lot to like about Paige. She's got a great look, her wrestling isn't great, but it fits with her character, and that's what you want out of a superstar. She's a good utility player that you can pair with anyone to make a decent program. She makes a really good comedy type of heel like she was back in 2014. She's got a nice ass, and she's got a good best friend vibe about her that you just can't help but love. My problem isn't so much with Paige herself as it is with her smarky fanboys and their flawed logic, double standards, and hypocrisy. It's the same thing that we have against all the internet darlings, is when you have someone that the IWC worships like Paige, and they set that as the standard for great wrestling, and then they turn around and bash divas like the Bellas. It's our job to give those people a reality check. So I don't hate Paige, I just hate smarks.
Well, I don't hate Paige nearly as much as you do. I think she's okay, but it's like you said, she's grown this whole thing backstage where she's kind of just, nobody likes her, and she's getting this attitude, just a bitch overall. Like you said, like the stuff I'm reading, that I read about her, it's like nobody really likes her. Like, she's literally the anti-diva backstage because none of the divas like her. Like, I think I saw a picture of like all the divas at Lana's wedding except Paige. It's a thing more where I just don't see her ever recapturing that big push, that big persona that she once was, like in 2014 when she was like the face of the division. I don't see her ever being that again, and I can't see any type of push where they could possibly do that again, even if they wanted to.
R-Truth. You know, I'm beating a dead horse with this, but I really hope R-Truth gets one last run as the crazy conspiracy theorist heel character. At a time where the roster is seriously lacking in interesting characters that can carry the show, a heel R-Truth is one of the few legitimately entertaining characters that they have right now. So it'd be a shame to see him continue to be wasted on this corny, goofball, Black Santino Marella type of gimmick. Roman Reigns. I like to consider myself the original Roman Reigns hater. Even when his haters would go on about how, well, you know, at least he has the look, I was always like, well, have you seen what he looks like without the vest? So I've never been a Reigns fan. However, I do think that in comparison to all the other lackluster superstars coming up from NXT that Triple H wants to make into these main eventers, he's leagues better than any of them. And much like Cena, he's a guy that whenever you put into a big match, he always delivers to the caliber of what you expect from a main event superstar. Because unlike the NXT guys who rely on spot fest matches to get them over, Roman Reigns is actually a storyteller in the ring. And that fact alone makes him leagues above all the other NXT guys.
Roman Reigns is one of those guys that I talk about on damn near every fucking review, and I'm always saying that he always gets shit that he doesn't deserve. Can he use a little work on his character? Of course he can, but that goes for a lot of other guys on the roster as well. The point is that Roman Reigns, you might love him, you might hate him. The point is that the guy is a draw. There's no debating that he is a draw. Everyone talks about him, even when it has nothing to do with him. Like I think they were talking about him on the Eva Marie wardrobe malfunction video, and then the top-rated comment was, "This is better than anything Roman Reigns has done in his whole career." You talk about Roman Reigns when he has nothing to do with anything, and then you wonder why he gets pushed so fucking hard. It's because you can't keep his name out of your fucking mouth. It's the same reason that Floyd Mayweather is the biggest draw in boxing. I do think Roman Reigns has what it takes to be the best, the top guy in the WWE. All it's going to take is just the time for the smarts to finally make peace with it and finally deal with it.
Sami Zayn. See, Sami Zayn is a guy that, much like Neville, would be perfect in the cruiserweight division as just the guy that you throw in fun filler matches to make the crowd go ooh and ah with his moves. But the fact that they're actually trying to make this guy a top superstar and putting him into main event spots is just ridiculous.
Sami no-sell Zayn, everybody. Sami no-sell Zayn. And anyone that wonders why I call him that, not only does he not sell in matches, he also doesn't sell any fucking merchandise. There's no feud that I want to happen or that I can picture happening that's like big time in the future that includes Sami Zayn in it. Like, I actually think that he's going to end up going the route of Neville, where they actually tried to push this guy and they kind of just got bored with him, so then they put him exactly where he belongs, which is just putting on great matches and not having actual feuds, and then, you know, just kind of fading into oblivion and into irrelevant. Unless you give him that great taxi driver gimmick that Vince Russo had suggested that the WWE do. I think that could actually work out for him. I have no hope for him. I don't like him. I don't think he's good. I don't think he'll do anything good, ever. So, yeah, fuck Sami Zayn.
Sasha Banks. As an overall performer, Sasha Banks pretty much has it all. She has the charisma, the attitude, the ring work, the passion. So a few people have asked me, why do I hate Sasha Banks? And I can see how it might come off that way, but what I have resented about Sasha Banks has nothing to do with her. It has to do with Triple H. You guys know, we've been fighting for this Give Divas a Chance movement since we started this channel, and what I hate is that Triple H just completely hijacked that movement, and he's just using that as an excuse to get Sasha and Charlotte over. But now, thanks to the draft, I don't think we have to worry anymore. Because I never thought it was a bad thing to center the division around Sasha. She is one of the best that they have. While SmackDown could continue to allow the other divas their opportunity to shine.
If you go back, I think a few years ago, I think it was like 2014, and I said Sasha Banks had like the brightest future of them all, or so she should, and it turns out that I was right, and I've always liked Sasha Banks. She always had the it factor for me. The only thing that's really holding her back right now and, you know, kind of stopping her from not being as good as she's touted is the fact that she's so green. And it's so funny how people jump on me when I say that she's green, when you can literally see that she's not the wrestler that she was on NXT. Like, she botches a lot more. You could tell she's nervous. I wouldn't write her off as a bust just yet. I'd give her a little bit more time. She's still incredibly young. And the thing with Sasha Banks is, even though she is overrated by the smarks, the thing about her is that I'd like to not read what they write about her. Like, if I ever see Sasha Banks written in any type of comment, I just like avoid reading it because I don't want them to ruin her for me. And luckily, I've been able to do that. They haven't ruined her for me yet, but let's see how long this will last. She's actually pretty good, and I think she has a bright future ahead of her.
Seth Rollins. I think we can all agree that Rollins proved us all wrong when we thought he was going to be the Marty Jannetty of the Shield. He's actually evolved into becoming probably the best overall performer of the Shield. And right now, I probably put him on the same level as Edge when it comes to his effectiveness as a top heel.
Let me talk about Seth Rollins. Wait, I can't do it! Help, guys! I can't talk about Seth Rollins by myself! Help, guys! I need help, please! Of all the, like I said, there's few indie guys that are actually pretty good, that actually have what it takes to be the guy in the WWE. And Seth Rollins is actually one of those guys. Seth Rollins has it all. Not only is he pretty good on the mic, his wrestling ability is so unique and different that it actually makes you take note of what he's doing. Like, the guy is so damn good in the ring. Like, he's entertaining in the ring. He does different things than what most of the other guys do. You know, Seth Rollins, for all the hype that he gets, I think Seth Rollins is one of the few guys that actually lives up to the hype. He lives up to the billing. He's as good as advertised. His booking needs to be better. They need to book him a little bit stronger. But aside from that, Seth Rollins is actually pretty damn good. He's one of the few guys I can see leading the WWE for years to come.
Summer Rae. I've talked about this in just about all of my other Diva videos, but I don't understand how someone like Summer Rae can be as misused as she has been. She literally has every quality that the company wants in a diva. She's got a great look and a presence that Vince likes. She's from NXT, which Triple H likes. She's a marketable personality, as we've seen from Total Divas, and she's the complete package of a performer. So I think there has to be some backstage heat on her, because I can't think of any other reason why she isn't a top diva right now.
She actually has something to offer someone, even if it's just in a role of valet. Like, I don't understand why they don't utilize her at all. Like, okay, the thing with Rusev was so garbage because you took Summer Rae out of her element. I think they need to pair her up with somebody that could really use the flamboyant, slutty valet. Like, I know I recommend valets a lot, but that's because they just add a lot more to superstars. Like, think about what Rusev was without Lana compared to what he is with Lana. Summer Rae could be that for somebody else.
So that's the Raw roster, and overall, as you can tell, there's a lot of potential there, but there's not a lot of real stars that you can see taking the company to the next boom period. And that's pretty depressing.
Yeah, the Raw roster is really depleted. It's like there's no depth whatsoever. And by depth, I don't mean like there's enough people. By depth, I mean there's not enough good people. There's maybe like three or four guys that I can see winning the Universal Championship, and then they just like kind of flip flop around with it for the next couple of years. So it's in pretty bad shape. Not just the Raw roster, both rosters, but we'll get into the SmackDown roster right now.
So that's the Raw roster, and overall, as you can tell, there's a lot of potential there, but there's not a lot of real stars that you can see taking the company to the next boom period. And that's pretty depressing.
Yeah, the Raw roster is really depleted. It's like there's no depth whatsoever. And by depth, I don't mean like there's enough people. By depth, I mean there's not enough good people. There's maybe like three or four guys that I can see winning the Universal Championship, and then they just like kind of flip flop around with it for the next couple of years. So it's in pretty bad shape. Not just the Raw roster, both rosters, but we'll get into the SmackDown roster right now.